Okay, great. August Piniaz with Real Estate Investing Demystified. We're here at the Best Ever Conference, and we ran into our good friend Bronson Hill. So, Bronson, what brings you to the event?
I love Best Ever. It's a great event. It's one of the biggest industry events around, really, as far as multifamily, as far as investing. And whenever you can get in the room with, a couple thousand or maybe 1,000 investors, passive investors, operators, it's a positive thing. The last event, the Best Ever I was at, was in February of 2020. So we think it may have been a super spreader event, but not this time. Not this time. We're past all that. So.
We're past all that, but now talking about COVID, talking about the economy, talking about being past things. What is your view about the economy? Do you think inflation is under control now, or at least coming under control? Is it looking that way? Talk to us about your thesis on where the economy is currently.
Don't panic, folks. Inflation's under control. There's no problems anywhere. And if you see people running to the exits, don't worry. So whenever it says don't panic, then it's time to panic. I'm under the belief that inflation is not 6-7% like they say officially. It's more like 15%. And so just money in a bank could be losing 30-40% over the next 2 years. And a lot of investors are just waiting. They don't know what to do. And so I think, really getting into assets, multifamily and real estate, it's a little challenging with lending right now, but we pivoted a little bit to do some other alternative assets or kind of more midterm investments that maybe you get half your money back in a year or two or things like that, where there's ways you can kind of get involved in different types of investments. But I think it's really important to have different strategies. I don't believe that prices are going to crash by 30%. I think it might be kind of a crack boom, or things like all of a sudden rates start coming down at a certain point, and then all of a sudden stuff goes up. So we never really have a big dip.
Got it. So this concept of blood on the streets, you don't subscribe to it?
No, I mean, we are seeing some distress in real estate or multifamily deals, but I think, really when it comes down to just finding what's the opportunity where you're at right now, and cash I think is the least preferable thing. I think even I'm a precious metals guy, so I know a lot of Canadians, you guys do a little more precious metals and minerals.
Alberta,
yeah. But so I think getting into something that's not in cash, I think is great. So obviously the goal is to go from cash to asset to cash flow. So if you can do that, multifamily is a great way to do it. There's oil and gas, there's other sorts of ATM machine, other investments that do this kind of thing as well.
And you behave more like a private equity firm where you partner with sponsors in different asset classes. You just brought up the fact that there's other asset classes that you're focusing on outside of multifamily. What are those asset classes, if you can talk to us about a few of them?
Yeah, so we've done a lot in the ATM machine space. People say no one uses cash anymore, but there's this segment of the population that's using cash all the time. Immigrants, it's the unbanked, the underbanked. Now unemployment benefits come on a debit card in the U.S. Even then, you go to get money with a debit card out of an ATM. We also have a speculative oil and gas deal that's kind of like a potential 50x, 100x kind of thing. So we're looking at some different, almost venture type of stuff as well. But I think there's always opportunity. You just got to find what works for you. We've been in more steady Eddie type of deals. We're looking for some higher upside kind of things of how can we take advantage of what's happening right now, because I think it's a very unique opportunity to take advantage of the situation now.
Last two questions for you. One, where do you think interest rates are going? Do you think they're going to go up? What the markets are accounting for another 100 basis points? Do you think it's going to be more? It's going to be less? What is your view on the interest rates?
There's a lot of speculation on this. There's a lot of differing opinions on this. I think we're going to have another rate hike or two. Then they're talking about this long pause. The Fed has always said, "Oh, trust us." But you can't trust them, because they're they were like, "Oh, we're going to lower rates, All of a sudden, they just quickly pivoted, and all of a sudden, we got to raise rates. So it's going to stay consistent until the next crisis, or the next, something happens that's unexpected, some big number, and they've got to start lowering rates. So my thought is in the next 6 to 12 months, they're going to start lowering rates again. It's not the pop. Ken McElroy believes the opposite. A lot of people believe the opposite, but that's my opinion.
Last question for you. Obviously, we're at a multifamily conference. A lot of people focus on multifamily, and a lot of newcomers into this space. We know a lot of institutions are sitting on the sideline. When it comes to newer groups, what is your advice to them? Should they sit on the sideline currently with dry powder? If an opportunity comes up and the numbers make sense and they have great debt, should they strike? What is your advice there for newer groups looking at multifamily and entering the market currently?
Yeah, so my thought is there's always opportunity in every market. It's just you have to be paying attention. And sometimes it's not always in multifamily. It's not always in the asset class. If you're a one-trick pony and all you do is multifamily, you're more limited on what you're able to do. If you look at different assets and you're able to get into metals, or you get into multifamily, you get into other types of alternative assets, there's lots of opportunities. So I think it's important you can say, hey, we're going to try to get into this. Right now, the lending is just the hardest thing with multifamily. So I think if people can just say, hey, we know we have to put more money down or temper expectations. It can work. I think this is a season we're going to look back on and say, man, I really wish I invested a lot more in multifamily right now, because if rates are going to lower, there's a record amount of cash on the sidelines, like $5 trillion, just 4 times the amount we had when COVID started, which is the most ever. So I think what's going to happen is, eventually these confused minds that are waiting are just, when rates start dropping, everybody's going to flood in. So that's my opinion. You just got to be able to weather right now and make sure you don't get into a place where you're being too speculative or having too much pain.
Awesome, man. Really appreciate it. Now,
hey,
tell our
so
viewers quickly how they can connect with you, subscribe to you.
Thanks, man. BronsonEquity.com is a great way. We also have a YouTube channel. If you search Bronson Hill, I love connecting with any folks about passive investing or any way we can talk about alternative investing. So,
awesome, man. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. August Minians, Real Estate Investing Demystified. Keep following us, and thanks.